0517 hours, Strait of Hormuz. 47 nautical miles southeast of Bandar Abbas, the USS Abraham Lincoln and her escort vessels cut through calm waters beneath a moonless sky, executing routine freedom of navigation operations. Surface search radars painted empty sea. Air search systems monitored commercial traffic at altitude. Then, at 5,1734 hours, the ANSS-PY-1D radar aboard the guided missile cruiser USS Cape St. Lydie, George detected multiple low-altitude contacts emerging from Iranian coastal positions. The contacts multiplied with terrifying speed. 5,018 hours. Combat Information Center, USS Abraham Lincoln. The tactical action officer watched his display populate with hostiles. 12 contacts became 24. 24 became 41. Within 90 seconds, 60 distinct radar signatures tracked inbound at 180 knots, altitude 200 feet, closing distance 43 nautical miles. The classification algorithms identified them immediately. Shahed 136 loitering munitions and Mahajer 6 reconnaissance drones configured for kamikaze strikes. This was not a probe. This was a coordinated saturation attack designed to overwhelm defensive systems through sheer numeric superiority. The Carrier Strike Group commander issued orders at 5,119 hours. All units assumed battle stations. The Abraham Lincoln pivoted into the wind for maximum launch capability. Escort destroyers, USS Michael Murphy and USS Starrett, activated Aegis combat systems, linking their fire control networks into a unified defensive grid. Fighter aircraft already airborne for routine combat air patrol received new tasking: intercept and destroy all inbound threats. The rules of engagement were unambiguous. Weapons free. 0521 hours. 38 nautical miles. 4 FA-18E Super Hornets from VFA 151 Vigilanton to the densest concentration of contacts. Each aircraft carried 6 AIM-120D AMRAM missiles. Maximum range 100 nautical miles. Active radar homing. The lead pilot achieved radar lock on 8 targets simultaneously. At 521:47 hours, he fired. The other 3 Hornets followed within 4 seconds. 24 missiles streaked toward the incoming swarm at Mach 4. Time to impact, 38 seconds. The sky began to burn at 5:22:25 hours. 17 drones disintegrated in the first salvo. Fireballs blossomed at 12,000 feet as warheads found their marks with 95% accuracy. The Iranian formation shattered into fragmented clusters, individual drones attempting evasive maneuvers. They lacked the sophistication to succeed. The Super Hornets repositioned, acquiring new locks. Second salvo away at 319 hours. 18 more missiles. 14 additional kills confirmed within 40 seconds. Current threat count, 29 remaining hostiles. Distance, 31 nautical miles. Neil 524 hours. 28 nautical miles. The destroyers entered engagement range. USS Michael Murphy fired first, RIM-66 Standard Missile 2, launching from vertical launch cells with catastrophic acceleration. Each SM-2 cost $1.4 million. Each Iranian drone cost approximately $20,000. The mathematics of modern warfare favored volume over economy. 4 missiles engaged 4 targets at 5:24:11 hours. Direct hits. Simultaneous detonations. USS Starrett followed with 6 SM-2s at 5:24:33 hours. 5 hits confirmed. 1 missile self-destructed after target loss. The Iranian drones crossed inside 25 nautical miles at 4:25 hours. 20 drones remained. They dispersed into 3 groups, 12 continuing toward the Abraham Lincoln, 5 breaking toward USS Cape St. George, 3 angling toward the destroyers. The coordination suggested centralized command control, likely operating from mainland Iran with satellite communication links. The strike group adapted instantly. 05:26 hours, 19 nautical miles. 2 additional Super Hornets joined the engagement, weapons hot. They carried AGM-88E advanced anti-radiation missiles designed for ground targets, useless against small drones. Instead, they employed 20mm M61A2 Vulcan cannons, 6,000 rounds per minute cyclic rate. The pilots dove into knife fighting range. Visual acquisition confirmed at VI 52644 hours. Gun runs commenced. Tracer fire stitched through two Mohajer 6 drones within 8 seconds. Both disintegrated in the spiraling debris. The Hornets pulled hard climbs, reacquiring targets. 2 more gun runs. 2 more kills. Remaining threats, 16. USS Cape St. George engaged the 5 drones targeting her position with Evolved Sea Sparrow missiles at 5:37:13 hours. The ESSMs launched in rapid succession, quad-packed cells depleting at 4-second intervals. Maximum engagement speed, Mach 4. Minimum intercept range, 3,000 meters. All 5 targets destroyed before reaching 8 nautical miles. The cruiser's Phalanx close-in weapon system remained silent, unnecessary. The outer defensive layer held 05:28 hours, 12 nautical miles. 11 drones continued their suicide run toward the Abraham Lincoln. The carrier's own defensive systems activated for the first time. 2 RIM-116 rolling airframe missile launchers trained outboard, infrared seekers locked onto exhaust signatures. At VIF 5:28,037 hours, 6 rams fired in ripple launch. Each missile accelerated to Mach 2. Terminal homing autonomous. Impact sequence initiated at 05:2849 hours 49 hours. 6 drones destroyed. 5 threats remained. Distance, 9 nautical miles. Time to impact, 160 seconds. The destroyers fired final SM-2 salvos at 05:29:11 hours. 3 missiles engaged, 3 targets. 2 hits confirmed. 1 drone evaded through radical descent maneuver, dropping to 50 feet above wavetops. The Aegis radar lost tracking momentarily against sea clutter. The drone reappeared at 6 nautical miles, closing fast. USS Starrett rotated her Phalanx CI West 2 bearing 074. The 6-barrel 20mm Gatling system achieved lock at 0529. Baitling system achieved lock at 0529:58 hours. Fire authorization granted. The Phalanx opened fire at VOI 5:30:36 UOC hours. Tungsten penetrators shredded the drone at 4,500 meters range. Debris impacted water at VOI 5:30:36:09 hours. 15:30:30 hours. 7 nautical miles. 3 drones remained. They executed synchronized terminal maneuvers, diving toward the Abraham Lincoln from 3 vectors simultaneously. The carrier's final defensive layer engaged without human input. 2 Phalanx CI West mounts tracked independently. Computer-controlled engagement priorities calculated in microseconds. Both systems fired at 05:33:4 hours. The combined rate of fire exceeded 9,000 rounds per minute. The first drone disintegrated at 2,200 meters. The second exploded at 1,800 meters. The third continued through the defensive fire, damaged but functional, impact trajectory locked. At A5:30,051 hours, a final RIM-106 launched from the carrier's port side launcher. The ram covered 1,400 meters in 2.1 seconds. Impact occurred at 05:353 hours, 600 meters from the carrier's hull. The drone's 40-kilogram warhead detonated in sympathetic explosion with the ram's fragmentation warhead. The combined blast registered on seismic monitors 80 miles distant. Silence returned to the Strait of Hormuz at VI 5:31,007 hours. Dothan 5:34 hours. Damage assessment. 60 Iranian unmanned aerial vehicles destroyed. Total engagement time, 13 minutes, 33 seconds. Expenditures, 24 AIM-12D missiles, 19 RIM-66 standard missiles, 12 Evolved Sea Sparrow missiles, 9 rolling airframe missiles, approximately 4,200 rounds of 20mm ammunition. U.S. casualties, 0. Equipment damage, 0. 1 Super Hornet required post-flight inspection after gun run stress exceeded normal parameters. The aircraft returned to service 6 hours later. Iranian casualties could not be immediately confirmed. The drones operated autonomously after launch, requiring no onboard operators. Ground control stations in Bandar Abbas and Keshem Island likely sustained no damage. The attack achieved 0 tactical objectives. Not a single drone penetrated the strike group's defensive envelope. Not a single warhead detonated within lethal range of any vessel. The mathematics were brutal. Iran expended approximately $1.2 million in drone assets. the United States expended approximately $47 million in defensive munitions. The cost-exchange ratio favored the attacker by 39-1, yet every American sailor returned home alive. Every Iranian drone returned as scattered wreckage across 400 square nautical miles of international waters. The strategic calculation transcended simple economics. A4 547 hours. Strategic implications. The Iranian attack represented the largest coordinated drone swarm assault against U.S. naval forces in history. Previous engagements had involved 12 to 20 drones maximum. 60 simultaneous targets tested the theoretical limits of integrated air defense systems. The Aegis combat system, designed in the 1970s and continuously upgraded through 4 decades, performed beyond original specifications. The seamless coordination between carrier-based aircraft, cruiser radars, destroyer weapons, and autonomous close-in systems demonstrated layered defense architecture functioning as designed. The tactical lessons were immediate. Drone swarm tactics required multi-layer responses across the entire engagement envelope. Long-range air-to-air missiles eliminated the majority of threats before defensive missiles became necessary. Medium-range ship-launched missiles created secondary defensive barriers. Close-in weapons systems provided final fail-safe protection. No single defensive layer could counter saturation attacks alone. Integration remained paramount. Iranian military planners faced uncomfortable conclusions. Their investment in asymmetric drone warfare, touted as cost-effective counters to American naval superiority, proved ineffective against prepared defenses. The Shahed-136 drones, successful against Ukrainian infrastructure targets lacking comprehensive air defense, could not penetrate U.S. Navy defensive grids. The Mohajer-6 reconnaissance platforms, effective for surveillance missions, lacked speed and maneuverability for combat penetration. Iran's drone arsenal, formidable against lesser opponents, remained insufficient against peer-level integrated defenses. Regional reactions cascaded through military and political channels within hours. Saudi Arabia requested accelerated delivery of Aegis-equipped destroyers and integrated air defense systems. The United Arab Emirates expanded existing defense cooperation agreements, specifically requesting access to American anti-drone technologies. Israeli defense officials studied engagement data, recognizing parallels to their own drone threat environment. The message transmitted clearly: American defensive systems worked. Iranian offensive systems did not. This engagement fundamentally reshaped deterrence calculations in the Persian Gulf. Iran had demonstrated willingness to execute large-scale attacks against U.S. forces. The United States had demonstrated capacity to neutralize such attacks with zero friendly losses. Future Iranian planning would account for this empirical data. The threshold for successful attacks had risen dramatically. Larger swarms would require hundreds of drones, not dozens. Costs would multiply exponentially. Success probabilities would decline proportionally. The strategic mathematics increasingly disfavored Iranian asymmetric warfare doctrines. Global implications extended beyond regional military balance. China and Russia monitored the engagement closely. Both nations invested heavily in drone swarm technologies, envisioning mass saturation attacks overwhelming American defenses through sheer volume. The Strait of Hormuz engagement provided real-world data invalidating those assumptions. American defensive systems demonstrated capacity to engage 60 simultaneous targets with 100% success rate. Extrapolations suggested capabilities against far larger swarms, particularly with additional carrier strike group assets operating in concert. The technological gap between American integrated defenses and potential adversary drone capabilities remained substantial. The engagement also validated decades of naval investment decisions. Critics had questioned multi-billion-dollar destroyer programs and expensive missile defense systems. The cost-per-kill ratios seemed economically unsustainable. Yet 13 minutes of combat demonstrated that survivability justified expenditure. Dead sailors could not be replaced at any cost. Sunken carriers could not be rebuilt in months. The asymmetric economic calculation ignored the asymmetric strategic value. An intact carrier strike crew projecting power justified any defensive expenditure. Iranian drones cost thousands. American credibility was priceless. 95551 hours. Final assessment. 17 minutes after the first radar contact, the USS Abraham Lincoln resumed routine operations. Aircraft launched for scheduled missions. Destroyers maintained standard patrol patterns. The carrier strike group continued freedom of navigation operations through the Strait of Hormuz without deviation or delay. Iranian coastal defenses remained silent. No additional threats emerged. The message required no diplomatic communique or official statement. The strait remained open not through negotiation, but through demonstrated capability. 60 drones had tested American resolve. 60 drones had failed. The next test would require greater commitment, larger numbers, higher costs. Iran had launched its swarm. The United States had swatted it from the sky with clinical precision. The tactical engagement lasted 13 minutes. The strategic consequences would endure for years. In the cold mathematics of modern warfare, dominance belonged to those who could defend, not merely attack. The burning debris sinking through cold waters testified to that immutable truth.